My dad started farming in '76. We've grown since then. It's my brother Randy and my dad and I. We farm about 3,400 acres, growing seed corn for Bayers, main thing we do, which we've been growing seed for them for 26 years.
So I was hauling wheat out of our grain bins with my semi-truck. And I had gotten back after hauling several loads that day, and I was gonna load up for the next day. Loading up the truck, got down to cleaning out the bin with a sweep auger. The bin has a power sweep auger that's ran off the center from a gearbox in the center and the auger underneath. I did not disengage that. It needs to be manually disengaged. And when I had the bin mostly swept up with a broom and a small pile in the center sump, I reached out to turn on the auger that's under the floor, and that's when the sweep auger was still engaged, and it was come up behind me and got my left leg.
Drove into farm kind of the back way to find Randy on the ground, and it took us a minute to figure out what happened. Then we pull up there, and it started to make sense. Talking to the hired guy, I was like, there's a first aid kit in this tractor. There's a bunch of tractors around here. I was like, run and go get one. He's trying to find that. I'm calling my wife, who's a paramedic.
I got a call from my husband. I had just punched out. I could tell the sense of urgency in his voice that something was wrong. He said that Randy was hurt and that he needed me to tell him how to put the tourniquet on. About 2 years ago, we had put about 10 first aid kits, including a tourniquet, in various vehicles on the farm. And Roy was calling me to ask how to put it on Randy. So I had him FaceTime me, and I was able to see the injury. With that, I just kind of instructed him on how to put the tourniquet up as high on his leg as he could.
Then I spent 10 days in the hospital, 6 of which were in the ICU, and 3 surgeries at that time. And everything's moving along pretty well. There's no plans for any additional surgeries so far.
I mean, we grew up knowing the importance of farm safety and to be safe, but you always think like, oh, that's not gonna happen to me, or something like that, but in a split second it can.
Very, very lucky to be alive, very lucky to even have the foot still attached to that type of accident, how bad the injury was. Cleaned that grain bin out since I was a kid. Probably the majority of the times I was by myself. This is something I'd done hundreds of times. I'm completely familiar with the equipment. There's a lot of things on a farm that can go bad very, very quickly.
It's very important to have multiple kits. Just because you're in a truck, you're in a tractor, you're in the office, you're working on equipment. Having your phone on you is very important, and having the first aid kit is just as important, if not more important, just so you can try and stop that bleed while the ambulance and the fire department are on their way.